A year ago, I stood up on the TED global stage, sweating, panicking, worrying that the talk I was going to give wasn't going to be good enough, etc. And at the end of the talk, I mentioned a small little tidbit about the People's Supermarket, the fact that I'd opened it. I'm here now to discuss a year on. I'll take you through the journey, the tears, the tribulations, the trials, etc. And so here we are, the People's Supermarket. The People's Supermarket is something that over a year ago now, we've had our birthday. I am now the ambassador for the People's Supermarket, one of the ambassadors, there's many of us. But I want to talk a little bit about the surprising nature that I found, the surprising nature of the people that I found come out of the People's Supermarket. I didn't expect it. I travelled to America, I worked at the Potts Dawson food co-op, which is a cooperative organic supermarket, 20,000 people, turning over $24 million a year, huge amount of money, where they managed to get good food cheaply to the owners of the company. And I thought, well, this is a fantastic idea, I'm going to bring it to London. Well, I actually tried to bring it to Britain, and I searched over the whole of Britain. It took about 40 different sites, 12 different business plans, feasibility studies, finance documents, architectural planning. I mean, you know, the project was massive and hugely complex. A lot of the complexity came out of this business because landlords and banks didn't actually compute that this was a possibility. 200 years previously had passed since the first co-op was really made in this country. The Rochdale pioneers kind of broke the mould, didn't want to pay as much money for the food that's being forced into their laps by you know, big producers. They didn't have enough money to buy it, and so empowered themselves to go about buying it in bulk, splitting it amongst themselves, not having any cost associated with it, therefore getting better quality food at lower prices. So it's kind of obvious, but we've been trained out of it. So bank managers and landlords have both been trained out of it to say, well, hang on a minute, you're a social enterprise, not for profit, you know, local shop, trying to take on the supermarket. We don't think it's going to work. So A, we're not going to give you a bank account, let alone give you a loan, and we're not going to let you rent this property off us unless you give us 5 years worth of rental guarantee. Ridiculous. So anyway, managed to get it open. On what should have been a £1.5 million project, managed to get open for £38,000, and hence the reason why you'll find, I don't know if you can see here, but I managed to find a site in London. These are the old Tesco tiles from the 70s. And Tesco's then gave it to an independent retailer, they wrecked it for 25 years, and then it ended up being an old, broken down shell of a place. So when I was knocking it down, I actually found old bits of Tesco crates and boxes that the independent supermarket had sort of broken up and made shells out of, etc. So anyway, it was, you know, I felt like I was kind of in the right place to be doing the supermarket. Anyway, people and power. Now, hopefully, Amanda doesn't mind me using that picture here. Amanda's one of the first people who joined the People's Supermarket, and it wasn't just people like Amanda. It was people who were literally neighbours. We'll come back to this. This is the area that it's in. This building was built after the Second World War. It was bombed out, and it was actually built as one of the first supermarkets in this country. So strange that we find a supermarket to come and you know, to go into one of the first builds. 1949, 1950. It's kind of a bit run down. It was very badly looked after. But what happened was, as soon as you open the doors to something that invited people to join, and this is the idea that really drives this business forward, is that if everybody in this room joined, it's not just a matter of joining, it's a matter of becoming an owner. Now you own the business. And as an owner, you all have a decision to make. And this was about as many people, maybe slightly less, as that we had in our first owners meeting. And you can imagine me standing at the front of the crowd of people saying, right, how do we want to run this business? What do we want to do? Do we want it to be organic? 50% went up. We wanted to be ethical, a lot of hands went up. Fair trade, everybody went up. So all of a sudden, the business is being dictated by you, by me. All we've done is create the opportunity for you to have your say and to run as you want. Now, all of a sudden, I went from kind of about a year and a half of planning and working and cleaning and architects and I mean stuff. I mean, I'm a chef, so I don't understand any of this stuff. I mean, I just got money for it. But ended up, you know, the idea is that food is important. In fact, food is vital. Without it, we don't. The fact that we are conditioned to buy food in certain ways, I think isn't quite right. I think that we need to question the way we buy food. Hence the reason why I started up with the supermarket. And as soon as I started inviting people in and getting them to join, all of these things started happening. People started putting up, I mean, the reason why I call this called Power to the People is that, you know, people, not me, put these things on the windows. People power, you know, and they would then come in and take control, take charge of the business as they see fit on their shift. You would work 4 hours once a month. Can't do that. Oh no, a bit busy now, I can't do that. Well, we're flexible. You could do 8 hours on one shift. You could do all your shifts at the beginning of some holidays, and then the rest of the year you can shop at the supermarket for 10% off. 10% off everything. Which means that your time gives you a value when you shop. And that value can be important for some people. In fact, for students, for the elderly, for the retired, people who can't find work, people who actually might have some time, where your time is valuable. And so people start to feel empowered. People in this community really started to feel, well, hang on a minute, yeah, if I get involved in this, this will be the outcome. Now, choice that people make around food, sometimes we don't think we're making choices. Some people don't even want choices. They just want to be dictated to. They want to walk around a supermarket with their eyes closed, shopping like they all normally do. And in that shopping, they tend to end up with a high sugar, high wheat diet. They tend to find that, well, in society today, diabetes is kicking in, tooth decay, children are finding it difficult to concentrate, focus at school. Lots and lots of different reasons why people are dysfunctional in society tend to be around food. That's what I believe in. And that's another reason why I thought people supermarket would be a good idea. That's why I thought you guys are here. I'm the people who have done British and fresh, and actually cheaply, we were cheaper than Tesco's. We still are, because we're cutting out the middleman. We're making decisions to buy produce directly from the producers. Now, I came to the West Country, and I was shown around the Valley, which is far from here, and they've given us a fantastic deal on all the milk and dairy we buy. And it was a decision to go either organic or regular milk, which is one of the biggest choices that people were making inside this business. Organic food tends to be labelled, or certainly the psychology of it is it's expensive. We were managing to get a pint of organic milk to almost equal a pint of normal milk. That's for the non-members. And as a member, you've got 10% off. It beat the price of normal milk on our shelves. So all of a sudden, people were coming in and making active decisions to say, well, do you know what, I'm going to buy milk that doesn't have any hormones and pesticides and chemicals and, you know, growth hormones, all these sorts of things in it, because I want to drink a better milk. And, you know, the decision for buying fair trade, I said, well, you know, you have this big problem. People, you know, the most popular fruit in this country is banana. Now, bananas and Kit Kats. In every lunchbox in the country, bananas and Kit Kats. Now, supposedly Kit Kats going fair trade. I think it is fair trade now. But you know, bananas are a difficult one to get because I don't know if you know this, but there's a banana war going on. Anyone seen this banana war? Bananas. All the supermarkets are selling bananas, organic bananas, fair trade bananas, all at exactly the same price. So it's very difficult to get into the supermarket war when you're just a very small, you're a blip on the supermarket, these huge giants. But we managed to get fair trade bananas, and then as soon as we started selling fair trade bananas, the price went up even further in the local market because the supermarkets dropped it again. Not because of us, I don't think, but I'll be flattered if it was. But it's very, very difficult in this food war actually try and make an impact financially. But we were making an impact. And it was because all of you, but I mean, okay, let's do a quick vote. Who would vote as an owner of this shop to have fair trade food? Okay. Everyone. So now I have to go and buy it. It's quite tricky. It is quite tricky. Because fair trade coffee, fair trade sugar, fair, and there's a different really coming from Nestle and Cadbury's, and are they buying fair trade? Where's the sugar coming from? And how they're treating the animals, etc. So people are what make the difference. People power. Right. The supermarket was made up of lots of different types of shelving, of school. Underneath here is old school bookshelves. It was a really inspiring exercise in seeing people who you've never met before in your lives walking in the door and saying, how can I help? They've already got their marigolds on. Not like, oh, they're coming in and saying, right, let me sweep the floor, let me clean the windows, let me strip this down, let me take this up. And it was people really getting involved and empowering their community. Really, really important. People in the community can make active decisions on the food that's coming into their community and how they're buying it. What it costs, they know how much it costs, so they are empowered. So if you feel empowered, you can actually be quite powerful in the decisions that you make. Right. It's a higgledy-piggledy shop. These tills I managed to pick up for 500 quid, and there's like £30,000 worth of kit, and it was just on a supermarket locally who was going bust because they were only organic. They thought, the owners of that company thought, well, this is an organic supermarket. Very difficult to do. Very, very difficult to do because the prices are quite high. One of the reasons why the People's Supermarket isn't fully organic, which I'd love it to be, is that people have made that business decision for themselves. No, we're not going to be organic because financially it could be detrimental to us. Right, so food choices and the seasons. There's something inside the People's Supermarket called the People's Loaf. The People's Loaf, in the earliest days of the idea of the People's Supermarket, I wanted to get good quality food to people in the community for less money than they'd have to pay normally for it. So, what do you think is regular food? Bread, milk, butter, cheese, apples, did I say eggs? The basic staples. I wanted to get 40 of your basic staples onto these shelves for less. No additives, no preservatives, daily traded, etc. So I got local bakers to make our bread. I had to come to the West Country to get dairy. I battled to get local producers inside, just outside of London, to give us dairy. It was very expensive for them to come in, especially the small scale producers. The choices that people make on food that we're buying in the supermarket, it comes from you. I don't think so. Are you ever going to have an impact on the big supermarkets? Well, supermarkets at the moment are dictating costs on the field, they're dictating how much milk should be to the dairy growers, etc. And we are losing the knowledge that we hold as a nation inside our growing sector, inside our production sector. And I felt this desperately when I went into the field. It's been 2 years visiting hundreds of different farmers, finding out exactly how much supermarkets pay for their produce, and it's nothing. It's under what it costs to produce. And that's why you go to dairy farms and you see them collapsing. You have to go to big monoculture farms to find anything worth looking at. These stainless steel drums and milk and eggs are amazing, but actually we're losing the local skills, localism. And this is one of the things I want to say about the supermarket. It's empowered people to think more locally and therefore globally. But it's about focusing on the locals, focusing on the people in the community, actively making decisions. Local peas. We didn't buy carry bags in, people donated them. We were making different decisions on different selections of tomato juices. We were making our own. We tried to make it more personal. I forgot that happened. Whenever I make pasta, my daughter says to me, "Can I have some pasta juice?" Which is the tomato sauce we've got. Suggestions. There's a suggestion board that people would be read every single day. This would go up. It would be filled by the end of the day, and then the next day we go out looking for the product that people suggested. Then I had a product amnesty, a product suggestion. You didn't really know what people wanted in their shop. So they'd come in and they'd drop stuff that they're buying from supermarkets into our box so that I can go out and look for it. I tell you what, I can't believe what some people are buying. It's unbelievable. Some of it I refused, some of it got in there. This is downstairs, and this sofa is very comfortable. I've slept on it. You're working hard. I'm working hard to get this. Now, members' meetings. Remember to put your date in the diary. You know, really kind of getting people involved, trying to get people into this room. You'll see here that arriving at the florist, people, a local florist was going, finding it difficult to make ends meet because of the landlord put them up rent up. So well, come and get involved. So all of a sudden we've got people's florist, people's bacon, people's loaf, people's pie, people's eggs, people's cheese. It really was about people getting empowered by their food. I'm going to slowly come to the end here, but it's quite important that when we talk about another Bristol particularly green, you're very environmental. I'm now considering myself to be a Bristolian of some sorts. I'm moving into Cheddar, which is not far from here. In fact, as an American said to me the other day, so where are you from, man? I said, well, you know, I'm sort of English, and we just moved to an area called Cheddar. He said, you mean there's a place called Cheddar? I thought it was a cheese. Anyway, the People's Supermarket, in its earliest form for me, was I wanted to prove you don't have to throw away as much food as we're doing. At the moment, about a third of the crop, maybe half of the crop that's in the land, in the ground, is being turned back into the ground before it's going to waste. Once it hits the supermarkets, about a third of it, fresh, supposedly, going to waste. Once it hits our fridges, a third of it is going to waste. So what, we're only consuming 10% of the food this country's producing? Surely not. It can't be that dramatic. But I tell you what, it's pretty big. It's a real problem. So, I created People's Kitchen, People's Recipes, the People's Lasagnas, the People's Salads, the People's Special Meals, all cooked with the food that the People's Supermarket would have thrown away. For example, the spinach, you look at the spinach tomorrow, I'm not going to sell that visually, but it's actually fine to consume, so I'll take it and I'll make a spinach soup, I'll make a spinach lasagna. And all of a sudden, I went from producing a few little ideas to a swarm of people coming and saying, well, we want that food again, give it to us again, 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 because the psychology of the community was saying, we don't want to waste the food that we're buying as people. We do not want to waste this food. If we can actively change the way this business consumes food, then we'll be empowered. I'll wrap this up. Okay, so anyway, powers of the people. Food is a particularly powerful mode of communication. And the more people, let me not be an onion, because that's what I do, local people, getting people back into work. This is John, who's cutting these things out, sticking them onto bottles. I suppose what I'd like to finish with is that food is vital. People are powerful. And creating a model of business in this way will make all of you way more powerful than just blindly shopping in large supermarkets, because they're just putting the money into their pockets, or certainly their investors' pockets. We need to be taking the money out of our pockets, keep putting it into our community. I think the Christmas Pound is a brilliant way of getting this working, so that it keeps going back into your community. The money shouldn't leave. The money should stay in the community. So it's people power, absolute people power. And you get the choice of fantastic sandwiches, Mr. Sandwich, Mr. Nigel is the top man. And so the whole idea is that you create people's products, people's carrots, people's cucumbers, people's potatoes, people power. The People's Supermarket brings that to you. So, you want to get one going in Bristol? We'll have a chat. We've already had a look at some stuff in Stoke-Croft, but there's not no space up there. But so yeah, and huge success story. We're finding people coming to the supermarket who may have found it difficult to find jobs, who find it difficult socially, but coming in and now we get people running our finance teams who maybe may not have the thought that they could be doing that in years' time. So, power to the people, very, very important.